All across the state, in towns big and small, the people of North Carolina have always worked hard. It's a way of life for the men and women who grew up in these factory towns, working the swing shift, taking care of your family, and sometimes struggling to make ends meet. Our Senate leader, Phil Berger, knows the story well, because it's his story too. A story of hard work, perseverance, and dedication to his family that has defined the path of his life. Phil's dad was a factory worker too, and things weren't always easy for the family.
One of my earliest memories is when I was probably 4 years old. My dad lost his job, and all I really knew is that we were moving. I remember being in the car and driving long ways and winding up at my grandparents'. It was necessary for him to get a fresh start.
His father taught him many lessons about the value of hard work.
No matter how tough it is, no matter how unpleasant what you're doing is, you have a responsibility to yourself and to your family to make sure that you do all you can to provide for them.
And some lessons were unspoken.
My dad always worked with his hands, and his hands in his back, and he worked at a company that made saw blades. He would constantly be getting little shards of steel in his fingers, and he'd come home and have to take tweezers and try to pick that stuff out of his fingers. I would help him do that. I hadn't even thought about that in a long time. But he worked hard. He did.
As a teenager, Phil delivered papers, sold shoes, flipped burgers, and stocked grocery store shelves. And during those high school years, he met the true love of his life, Pat.
Pat's brother, Bill, was my best friend, and I came over to her parents' house to see Bill, and saw her for the first time. It got to the point where my interest in coming over to his house became an interest in coming over to her house.
He said he wouldn't date me because he knew he'd be stuck with me.
She was right. It worked out that way. Her dad was pretty intimidating.
Yeah, really, he was.
Now, after...
He liked him a lot. He loved Phil a lot. He would get on me for talking to other guys on the telephone because he liked him, which you probably don't know that, but...
They started as high school sweethearts, but it didn't take Phil long to realize he wanted Pat to be part of his life forever. He wanted to give her the best, but money was tight.
So what I did is I picked the ring out, made arrangements to pay, I can't remember how much it was, $10 a month or something like that on the ring. Got the ring, and I was so excited to give it to her that I called and asked her if I could come over because I had something I want to talk to her about. And she told me I couldn't come over. So you remember that?
He came anyway.
I came anyway. Came in the kitchen, asked her to marry me.
And I said yes.
I think she said yes.
Got married, went to work that day. No honeymoon.
Yeah, no honeymoon. Well,
no honeymoon.
41 years of honeymoon.
Phil and Pat began their lives together and learned some lessons along the way.
We had a little Volkswagen that we didn't have money to fix it. We bought it from his uncle. And this is when we lived on North Main Street, and there was a hill out front. We would have to park it on the hill and roll it off every day, even on the way to the hospital to have Philip Jr. Because he did not know you had to put water in the battery. So we would jump it off every time.
It probably seems like it was a longer period of time than it really was. I don't think it was that long.
But we could not afford anything else.
No.
So. But he didn't know anything about cars.
Soon their young family began to grow. Sons Phil Jr. and Kevin came along. And then, quite a few years later, almost 20, they welcomed a daughter, Ashley, to the family.
Our boys were very competitive. We gave them an opportunity to do the things they wanted to do. So they wanted to play sports, and we wanted to help them with it.
He did lots of stuff with us. I mean, he was there. He was our football coach. First time that we played football, he was our coach.
I just thought it was important, and still think it's important for parents to be involved in what their kids are doing.
Yeah, we go watch the grandkids play as much as we can.
I hope they learned that it was important that if they said they were going to do something, that they did it.
My dad has given us the ability to say, you know, you've got to push through, you've got to persevere.
Both Pat and Phil worked full-time to provide for their family. The young couple scheduled their swing shifts so that one parent could always be at home with the children.
He worked at Kmart for $1.80 an hour, and I worked at Tallheimer's for $1.60 an hour.
And so, yeah, we were conscious of money and the need for money, but you know, it didn't seem to be the most important thing to us though at the time. Well, what was important is we were together.
We had a good time.
So I got a job at U.S. Gypsum Company. It was 8 hours. It was dusty and dirty and smelly, and it was hard labor. It was, I mean, it was honest work, and it was something to put food on the table.
Yeah, and I went to work for Dan River Mills. I ran denim onto spools and on a production job. Come out blue every day. It was a hard job. No lunch, just 2 breaks a day.
It didn't take too long for us to kind of realize that, you know, this is fine, but you know, there's probably something better for us. And I wanted to go back to school.